Hey everybody, Spark from Wavescape here with your surf report on the deadly evil Friday the 13th. Looking forward to this weekend, Saturday the 14th, Sunday the 15th, and into next week with a brief look at what's going to be happening next weekend with the interesting coastal low that develops and then detaches from the coast and forms that thing. Meanwhile, basically, we've got a big, cheery, grumpy Neanderthal face in the ocean there with a big low-pressure eyeball in the left and a smaller low-pressure eyeball in the right and a big high-pressure nose in the middle. So there's lots of south to southeast swell coming from this system in the east. Nice strong winds and good swell with waves hitting the area already. In fact, they've already arrived in Cape Town today and also running along the coast. So if we had to look at the swell, zoom in a little bit. All right, so Friday the 13th at say 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Let's make it a little bit later. It's at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So around the meat of the storm, we've got a 7-meter swell at 2 meters. But along the coast already, the Southern Cape stretch all the way to J Bay and further and beyond to East London and the Wild Coast, 3.8 meters at 11 seconds. And this swell is also stretching all the way to False Bay, starting to fill in there as well. So lots of hard to get to spots, lots of nice waves, especially looking at the wind conditions. Up the east coast are westerly, blowing hard obviously at first, but then easing off Saturday. Nice conditions, perfect northeast berg winds, light southeast up the west coast, glassy in the middle patch where the high pressure is at its most, and then the receding low is bringing all those like a crispy southwest offshores. All the way along the coast there's swell. And then you've got this front on the way, this front of swell. I mean, not a cold front, although a cold front is coming, but I'll show you what happens to that just now. So basically, Saturday, the swell is a couple of 100 miles out early in the morning, but come the evening, it's starting to arrive. So it looks like it's going to start arriving from 4, 5 in the afternoon at 2.7 meters at 14 seconds by 9 o'clock at night. Okay, I kind of cheated there a little bit, but you get the drift. So now you see these two swells running into each other, with the west swell coming and then the south swell. So obviously the charts will start to override the reading because the one is bigger than the other. And as you see, even pictorially it does that. And by Sunday, you got 3.2 meters running at 16 seconds at 10 o'clock in the morning, solid swell. So if we had to look at now Cape Peninsula, and we'll see that, okay, sure, here's that south swell, the first initial pulse from that first storm that is now moving to the east, and you got 11 feet at 11 seconds with light southwest dying to glassy. So lekker surf in False Bay and Museys today, even though it's Friday the 13th. Saturday, you can see that there's still that south swell, probably bigger than it suggests here. Probably 3-4 feet solid in False Bay and maybe bigger in the afternoon when that southeast pulse starts to start. But of course, with the arrival of the west swell now, it overrides that, so you're not going to see that. But lovely conditions, light northeast going to light moderate northwest, crisp and clean. And then Sunday you've got moderate but probably quite fresh northwesterlies. Seems to undercall the northwest, the GFS model does. And then there is the swell, very strong, powerful 8-foot west swell with 16-second periods. And Monday, lacquer surf, light southwesterly conditions and still pumping 6-foot plus waves, and then not too much to report for the rest of the week. So if we had to look at how that transpires in the Southern Cape, the arrival of the swell on Friday the 13th, but with the buster, of course that wind is still blowing hard, but it is receding. Saturday, the easterlies come, but Sunday looks like an epic day. Lots of south swell left over, at least 4 5-foot south swell and some intermittent west swell sets. Nice swell on Monday too, and lacquer crisp offshores. Again, very west, so a little bit intermittent. And then if we had to look at the Eastern Cape, just to show you how it transpires there, you got busters on Friday, you got that swell arriving from the first storm, and then you can see it goes more and more southwest, and overnight it goes to south-southwest and then to south, and eventually it'll be southeast overnight Saturday. Light conditions in the morning, so good surf, but onshores for the rest of the weekend. Then Monday, crisp offshores and new swell. Kef west swell though, a bit smaller, more intermittent. And then if we just had to look at how the storms move through the chart, so to speak, let's have a look at the wind gusts. So there moves that low pressure, this first storm on Saturday, and here comes the second. And then you'll see, come Sunday, it starts to dip away to the south and just clips the southwestern Cape with some strong northwesterly winds, a lot stronger than originally forecast, in fact. So False Bay will have waves, obviously, and then Monday, much better conditions, much lighter winds, and that's the day when it could be firing. Okay, so let's look at what happens at the end of the week next week. And you've got 3 low pressure systems in a row right across the country as it warms up into summer, but eventually start joining up into one big coastal low, and then that detaches from the coast and it becomes a full-blown ocean storm with lots of strong south to southeast winds blowing around it and spraying swell in every direction. But just to show you the vagaries of the models is that the European model says that the storm is going to look like this on Saturday night, and GFS says it's going to look like that. So yeah, it's still a long way out and anything can happen. Anyway, that's it for now. Cheers. Thanks for listening. See you next time. Bye.